What Leon earned a whole year serving this country in 1953, he now pays in a single month to be in that senior retirement community. Year then, month now, that's the same number, and that's the whole story of this episode. A few years ago, a man named Leon changed the way I see money forever. I just moved to Dallas at the time, 2021. I got invited to run a retirement planning workshop at a senior living community. Now, before I got up to speak, they walked me past a wall. That wall was called the Wall of Honor. Photos of every resident in that building that had served this country. And this older gentleman reached over and he tugged my jacket. He pointed up at the wall. He said, "That's me up there." And I asked him, "What year was that?" He goes, 1953. So I asked, "Leon, I'm just curious. What did you earn back then serving in the military?" And he thought about it. He said, about $400 or $500 a month. Call it $5,000 a year.
What?
$5,000 a year to serve this country in 1953? I gather that was real money. That was a living. See, that's not a story about Leon getting old. That's a story about a thief. That one thief that nobody warns us about. What do we call it? Inflation. Drop the word thief if you watch your money buy less and less money every year that goes by and nobody ever told you why. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Who are we? Hey, 7-figure squad. What we go? Run it up, run it up.
Now, welcome to the 7-Figure Squad, 375,000 strong and growing. 26 years now in financial services I've been in, and I've been a man who went from broke and bankrupt at 22 years old to financially free in his 40s. No college degree, no inheritance, no rich family, no rich friends. And I sat with people at every stage of their financial life. The ones that are starting out, like the ones like Leon at the very end, doing the math very late in their lives. Now, here's what most people believe. They think if they just save, they're safe. Put it in a bank, they say. Watch it and sit there, earn the compound rate of return, and somewhat you feel responsible about it. God, he's got a name for what's quietly happening to that money, and he's hidden it for 3,000 years. He calls it a dishonest scale. Now, in the ancient world, a crook carried 2 sets of weights in his bag. A heavy stone when he was buying from you, and a light stone when he was selling it to you. Now, same scale, but they were rigged in both different directions. You walked out thinking you got a fair deal, but yet you got robbed. Now, God banned it outright. In Deuteronomy chapter 25, do not carry 2 different weights in your bag, one heavy and one light. Don't do that. And in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1, he says it flat. The Lord detests honest scales, but accurate weights finds favor with him. The prophets caught them in the act. Amos chapter 8, verse 5. Skimping on the measure, boosting the price, cheating with dishonest scales. Hear that. Smaller measure, bigger price. What's that called? That's inflation. And God's own prophet described it 2,700 years ago. And then Isaiah put his finger right on the money itself. Chapter 1, verse 22. Your silver has become dross. Your choice wine is watered down. What is he revealing? It's called being a money shaver. You found somebody shaving money, and they shaved the silver and watered down the wine until a coin still looked like a coin and bought half of what it used to. See, that's a thief. Inflation is a dishonest scale you never agreed to stand on. The weight of your dollar gets shaved a little more every year. The number printed on it never changes though. That's why you never see the robbery. And not even your savings can hide from it. Haggai said it 3,000 years ago. Chapter 1, verse 6. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Yes, a purse with holes. Think about that. Money sitting still while the scale gets rigged against it. The purse looks full, but it's been leaking the entire time. You can't even see the holes. So many of you didn't lose money. You lost power. The numbers stayed the same. What it could buy got smaller. So if you're feeling that at the gas pump, at the grocery store, your retirement savings, drop the word holes. If your paycheck disappears faster than it used to, you can't figure out where it went. Drop holes in the comment section below. But let me show you how quiet this thief really is. By the government's own inflation numbers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, $1 you saved a couple decades ago is worth a fraction of that today. Nobody stole it out of your account. It just quietly lost its power just sitting there doing nothing. We're all taught that the safe move is to save money. And saving, of course, is good. But saving alone, money that only sits, not earning a high rate of return, beating this silent thief, is the slowest bleed that there is. You get to feel responsible the whole time you're being robbed. Now, I know that firsthand because I believed it too. Now, I think about my own numbers. When I was a young United States Marine in my 20s, I earned about $2,500 a month. Now, that felt like real money. It bought me a whole life, a new perspective, a new reality. It was awesome. That same $2,500 today, it's a shadow of what it was. Same number on a check, however, a fraction, however, of the buying power. I didn't get poorer by spending it wrong. The dollar itself got smaller in my hand while I wasn't looking. And I wasn't some kid when Leon showed me this. I was a grown man close enough to the back nine to feel the clock doing the math on my own future while he pointed at that wall. That's the only difference between me and Leon. I get to see it coming. Most people never do. Now drop the word raise if you've earned raise after raise after raise over the years and somehow you still feel further financially behind. Drop the word raise in the comment section below. So what does God say to do about a thief you can't even see? That's something that you potentially can't even control. Well, Jesus said it plain. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. Do not store up treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy. Now think about that. Moth and rust, that's decay. That's a slow eating away of a thing while it just sits there. Now, at the same time, God never told us to hoard. He told us how to steward. Remember the parable of the talents, my favorite book in the Bible? By the way, watch this episode right here, one of my favorite episodes that we ever shot on this entire history of this YouTube channel, in Matthew chapter 25 of the Bible. The servant who buried his master's money, who played it safe, who kept it perfectly still because he was operating in a spirit of fear, he's the one who got called wicked and lazy. Not because he lost it, because he let it sit and do nothing. Even in scripture it says you should at least put it into the bankers, at least it could have earned some interest. You see, money that stands still is not standing still. It's actually moving backward. So that's the same truth I gave you back in episode 1. If your money doesn't have a job, it'll find a way to entertain itself. And here's the part I didn't say then. The job it finds all its own is shrinking. So here's a doctrine. 3 truths. I need you to hear all 3 and pay attention. Linda, listen. Truth number 1. Inflation is a dishonest scale. God named it 3,000 years ago. The weight of your dollar gets shaved a little every year and the number printed on it never changes. And that right there is why you never see the theft. Truth number 2. Saving alone in itself is not protecting your money. Money that only sits, not earning a competitive rate of return, is already moving backwards. Now, you can do the responsible thing, the thing that everybody praise you for, yet you can still lose. Truth number 3, you have to beat the thief and survive him. Your money has to grow faster than inflation, and it has to be protected while it grows. See, that's not one job, that's 2 all at the same time. And by the way, I took the same application to my cash flow, my income. I wasn't beating inflation, which is waiting for a potential raise. Now, let me put real numbers on it because this is where it stops being a theory. Most Americans are walking towards retirement with almost nothing behind them. According to the Federal Reserve survey of consumer finance, close to a third have 0 saved. And the people nearest the finish line, folks in their late 50s and 60s, the middle of them has around $185,000. That's the whole wall. That's what's supposed to hold for 30 years. And here's what fools even the ones who did the work. Picture the rare person who actually hit $1 million in savings. Feels like they crossed the line, feels like they made it. Watch how fast this thief of inflation eats $1 million. The safe rule, which planners call the 4% rule, says you pull about $40,000 a year from your $1 million portfolio. But that 40 grand gets taxed on the way out. So it's really 32, 33 in the pocket. Then the market has one ugly year on and the math never fully recovers. So not only do you get taxed, but the potential to lose is there. And then remember from last week, long-term care for a spouse, for an aging parent, Genworth puts the meter on $6,000 a month, and memory care runs higher per person, and it never once asks for permission. Now, add it all up. The $1 million that you thought you had and you felt good about crossing that financial finish line is gone in about a decade, sometimes less. I see it. I'm on the retirement planning side of things, both in and out. Now, here's what I come to believe, and I'll say it even though it starts a fight inside my own industry. The advisors and insurance people love to argue about what's right. Invest it all, no, protect it all. And while they bicker, families sit in the middle with no floor underneath them. Now, insurance is not the enemy of a good retirement plan. It's the floor. It's the thing that keeps taxes and market losses and one health crisis away from taking the whole house down all at the same time. And I'll say this part straight and clear. If insurance isn't part of your retirement conversation, you don't have a retirement plan. We talk about long-term care insurance, critical insurance, not just Medicare and Medicaid. You have hope now if you expand the conversation beyond those things. Now, here's what it actually takes to beat a thief like this. Your money has 2 things at the same time. It's got to grow and it has to be protected while it grows, so one bad year in the market doesn't wipe out 3 good ones. I watched people in our agency do exactly that. Morrison Torhansby in our Chicago office in Oak Brook. These are my 2 OGs. They've been in this from the beginning. They built a life most people only ever talk about. John Mason in our Orlando office out of Jacksonville. Ellis and Jasmine Suazo out of our Chicago and Atlanta offices. First generation cash flow millionaires. Now they built their agencies from nothing, helping other people with this retirement problem. Now all of us, we've built the #1 office years over years over years. And guess what? We've never bought leads. Now, we didn't get here guessing. We just got positioned. They put their money somewhere that the thief could not reach. Now, I'm not going to break down the exact vehicles from a YouTube video. That's a different conversation, and we'll table it, and it's different for every family. But run your own money through the one honest test. Is it beating inflation or bleeding to it? If you don't know the answer, you already have your answer. And here's why this matters more than your account balance. There's a whole generation like Leon. They served our country, they worked, they were diligent in their tasks, they saved, they invested, they did everything they were told to do. And they still stood there at the end watching a dollar they earned turn to dust right in their hands. Nobody stood in the gap for them. Nobody warned them while there was still time to move. See, that's the gap. The space between what people were taught about money and what's actually true. And there still aren't enough people standing in it. Drop the word gap if you refuse to be the next Leon, making sure you're not reactive to an inflation type of situation. Now, here's the door. If you just realize your own money's been quietly bleeding and you still want to protect it, or if you want to be the one who warns families before it's too late for them, there's a place for that. Where? Go to moneysmartmovement.com. That's the door. Walk through it. That's where we take people who are done watching the thief win. Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30. I'll look for someone among them who would build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land. But I found no one. See? The big man upstairs? He's still looking. Stand in the gap before the thief takes out one more year. Now, if you got value from this episode, please hit like. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and notifications be alerted the next time we upload our next episode. Drop your biggest takeaways in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys tuning in here this Sunday night at 6 p.m. Every Sunday night, we upload here Stand in the Gap type episodes on the Faith and Finance type of channel. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. And until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.